Hello, and welcome to Hancock County. How are you guys? Yes. Thank you so much for being here. This is such an important time, as this cuts out. This is such an important time for checking out who we have to vote for. This is in Hancock County at least, this is the only countywide contested race. So when you pull that Democrat ballot, which we're all pulling that Democrat ballot, right? Yes. So this is your chance. You have to understand who the best person to carry forward is, in your opinion. This is the voters' time to choose. Okay? We thank every one of these 4 candidates for stepping forward, being brave enough to take this step, and do all the things they do just to get to this point. So let's thank them. All right, so I'm going to turn this over to Randy Johnson, who is our moderator today. Randy he was the previous chair before me and has many, many times. Yes, clap for him, please, because he's fantastic. And is there anything else I want me to specifically say? Because he's got lots of titles and does great stuff. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to him, and let's get started.
Okay, everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good. Obviously, we're here for the 6th District Candidate Forum. And again, we appreciate all of you being here, the candidates, very important. Ground rules. No interruptions, respectful conduct by both the audience and the candidates. We all got to be behaved. Please silence any devices you have with you. As I look around, I see people reaching. Okay. Again, you already know me, Randy Johnson. We're going to jump right into it. I'm going to do my best to keep us on time and try to make everything flow as best we can. Everything up here that you see, as much as possible, we've done by roll of the dice, so there's no one person chosen first. It's just a roll of the dice. And we'll begin with the opening statements today. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening statement. The order was determined by the roll of dice, and our timekeeper will keep track of the time. She has cards that have 10 seconds, 30, and stop. So she'll be holding it for the candidates. And today we had David was the high roll on the dice. And so we'll begin with David, followed by Cindy, Nick, and Corey. And I'll do each one separately. Hold your applause to the end. I know we got people on Zoom. You know how hard that is to hear when everybody starts talking and clapping. So, David, you want to go first?
Test. All right. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. I'm happy to be here to speak with you about myself and also my campaign's priorities for the 6th District. My name is David Boyd. I'm running for Congress to represent all of you and also the other 11 counties. So if you're watching virtually in different counties, I'm looking to represent you. I'm running on a platform of strength, to strengthen America, strengthen bipartisanship, and strengthen democracy. I believe that there's still more that unites us than divides us. I believe that the media and algorithms do a great job dividing us by the color of our skin and the color of our politics. But we do have to get past that. I believe it's important that we work together and bridge the house dividing cannot stand if we're not all together. So I believe in unity inside of our party. I do want to strengthen democracy. I know with the SAVE Act going around right now, it's going to disproportionately affect married women. I do want to make sure that we can get the John Lewis Voting Rights Act passed in Congress. That's something that I will be a strong supporter of, and we'll push for that as well. And I also want to strengthen America. I know right now that the economy is in danger right now. I know affordability is a real issue that we're dealing with. I plan to lower the cost of living, and I do want to push for a $25 minimum wage to help Americans that are struggling financially. Going down the district, one of the things I've noticed is talking to people about their mortgage and their rent. Rates are too high. With the data centers coming in, people are getting charged high on their electric bills, and there's no recourse. There's no reason why. They just have to pay them, and that's a problem. You guys will hear a little bit more about me here in the future, but I do hope to earn your vote through this forum, and more information about me is online. Thank you.
All right, and you don't have to come up, or you can stand however you want. And Cindy is up next for her 2 minutes.
Hold this down. Push it up.
There you go. Once the light's on, you're good.
So, as the only person on this stage who can say they have raised a family here, taught public school here, owned a small business here, worked on Capitol Hill, written and passed public policy, earned a PhD, and was born, raised, and continue to live in the 6th District. Plus, I did 7 events yesterday, so forgive me for using my notes. I know the people of the 6th District because I am one. I'm Dr. Cindy Worth. I'm the best candidate for this office. I'm a scientist, a public school teacher, and a small business owner. I'm the granddaughter of the lady who baked the yellow smiley face cookies in the bakery in town. I am the first in my family to graduate college and the first to earn a PhD. But more times than I can count, I have been told to go back home and bake cookies, and never by a woman. But the funny thing is, to me, that's not an insult. It's a compliment, because those cookies that my grandmother baked for that bakery, along with everything else, built a life for my father and his family, and I'm proud of that. But I'm tired. I'm tired of a healthcare system that profits off of illnesses. I'm ready for healthcare that benefits all of us. I'm tired of struggling to pay housing, childcare, and groceries, and utilities, because everyone's American dream should be attainable. I'm tired of our tax dollars destroying schools thousands of miles away. I'm ready to build programs that improve our communities and schools. I'm tired of wealthy corporate-minded men dragging us down, making women jump through hoops to vote, using AI to talk down to us, making poor decisions, and sending our sons, daughters, brothers, and sisters off to illegal wars. I'm ready to lift all of us up in the 6th District as the first Democratic woman to represent us, because I can envision all of this. And I'm the candidate you can trust to get the job done, and I need your vote in the primary.
Thank you. And next up, we have Nick.
Thanks, Randy. Thank you, Linda, for organizing this and for Hancock County coming out today. I want to thank my mom for being here, as well as my 2 children in the back. My name is Nick Baker. I'm from Bloomington, Indiana, born and raised. Went to Indiana University, went to law school in Indianapolis at McKinney School of Law. I've practiced law for the last 20 years, trying to pursue access for Hoosiers in our courts. I'm the only attorney in the nation that brought the Camp Lejeune water contamination case to the United States Supreme Court. Fortunately, the president signed the PACT Act, and it gives us an avenue to pursue those claims. I'm also the only attorney that is suing the state of Indiana pro bono or free of service for remaining Ku Klux Klan laws on our books in the name of judicial selection, in which a Ku Klux Klan governor had created a law over 101 years ago. I have 3 tenets of my campaign. First is unity, not division. We must heal the wounds that have divided us, stop focusing on the wedge issues, focus on the 80% of issues that we all agree are problems, and come up with 2 solutions for those. My second issue is the budget. With my 8 and 9-year-old in the back of the room, I don't want to bankrupt this nation before they have a chance to take leadership. And the only way we can do that, and the third element of my campaign, is through healthcare. We need to completely overhaul it, and it needs to be completely rewritten. We need to stop propping up a broken system. We have an opportunity as a Democratic Party to appeal to not only Democrats, but to independents and even disgruntled MAGA voters who have been injured through the cuts of Medicaid and Medicare, and through all the farmers who've been hurt by the current administration's conduct. We need to put forward a candidate that we know is going to appeal to the middle and to more people across this district, and are going to appeal to more rural voters. So if you could give me the grace and the opportunity to go to Washington and represent all of you, I do believe I present us the best opportunity to win in November. Thank you.
And finally, we have Corey.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is William Corey Amix, and I grew up just down the road in Fayette County in a working class family. My dad was a firefighter. My mom still runs a beauty shop there, and my grandfather, who just recently passed, ran the barbershop right next door. For the past 22 years, I've worked in higher education, in financial aid, helping college students and veterans. And I live right here in Hancock County, right down the street, actually, in the Stansbury Edition. So when I talk about what people are going through, I'm not guessing it. I've lived it, and I'm living it now. Over the past year, I've traveled across this district talking with farmers, small business owners, veterans, and families just like each of you. And I keep hearing the same thing. People are doing everything right, and they're still falling behind. Farmers are getting squeezed from every direction. Costs keep going up, fertilizer, fuel, everything it takes to get a crop in the ground. But what you get back isn't keeping up. Small businesses are working harder than ever just to keep doors open. Veterans come home with skills and experience, but too often struggle to translate those things into good paying jobs. And families are one medical bill away from serious trouble. That's not a people problem, folks. That's a system problem. And now, here's where I'm different. I didn't just hear these problems and go have ChatGPT write it for me. I sat down for the past year with more people than I could possibly count across the 11 counties to write up solutions to these problems. If you go to my website, you will see those solutions, and you're going to hear me talk about them today. I hope to earn each of your votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. All right, we've done opening statements. On to the prepared questions. The candidates were provided the questions in advance for these. We will do a rotating order again, and the luck of the draw of the dice. Basically, there'll be 90 seconds on this one, and we will begin with the first question with a small commentary. All of our candidates have unique talents, and our audience members may like to know more about the person who will represent them. What strong leadership skills do you possess that will benefit you if elected as a member of Congress, and how can you use those talents to move forward on your priorities? That's the question, and again, it goes to David for the first one.
My leadership skill that I bring to the table is strength. And I'm very focused on items that are before me. So whatever topic that comes in my way, whether it's going to be Medicaid, it's going to be affordable housing, affordable health care, it's something that I dive into. Not only do I dive into it, I do research, I bounce off that research from individuals that are in professional environments, and then I come up with a solution. And then I find a way to pass that. So that's very important for me to also stand behind my work that I believe in, because I understand that even though I may have an idea, it may not be the best idea. So I will fine tune it off of other people. I believe that's a point of strength that we need in Washington, D.C. I think too often we have a lot of people in Congress that put their ideas forth, but they can't get that bipartisanship side of it to have the help to get that passed across the line. So that's something I bring to the table. I bring strength and focus to the work that I do.
Okay, next up will be Nick. Same question. Do you need to repeat?
No. Good. Thanks, Randy. As far as leadership, one of the things that brought me into this campaign is my ability to recognize, even with those people that I may be politically misaligned, to find the common ground of the issues that we both agree are problems. Whether it's MAGA, middle, or liberal, we're all on the same team, an American team. And I've done an excellent job of bringing those people together and trying to find solutions. I'm a consensus builder. This is what we do as trial lawyers. We have to guide and lead a jury to a decision. And we must do it through a consensus. We cannot pull the wool over people's eyes and try to trick them. Ultimately, we're going to have to get to Washington, whoever it is among us. And we're going to have to work across the aisle if we're going to get anything done to fix the problems that we're facing. And ultimately, I believe I provide that opportunity the best of all of us.
Thank you. And next will be Cindy for same question.
Thanks, Randy. So the leadership skill that I bring, I'm a scientist and a teacher, and a big part of both of those is listening and responding for what's best needed for everyone, and taking that into account So when I was teaching, I taught collaboration, conflict resolution, and consensus building to teenagers. So if I can teach that to teenagers, I can take that transferable skill to Washington and put it to use. And I already have. So I wrote a bill that was bipartisan supported, honoring the 19th Amendment, which was women's right to vote. That original bill that was presented, in fact, by two offices and signed into law, passed the House and the Senate, signed into law by President Trump. So I do have that experience. I know what that takes. I have done it before. I'm ready to hit the ground running. I not only have the character to lead, but I have the courage to act. And I will hold lawmakers accountable just as much as I have held bullies accountable my entire life. And I think those are really important skills that are lacking on Capitol Hill right now all across the board.
And finally, we have Corey again.
So I don't come from politics. I come from solving real problems for real people. You know, for more than 20 years now in higher ed. Okay. For more than 20 years in higher education, I've helped working families and veterans navigate the systems that really weren't built for them. It teaches you two things. It teaches you how to listen and how to fix what's broken. So my leadership style, it's simple. Show up, listen first, then deliver solutions. And that's exactly why I've spent the last year traveling this district between all 11 counties, listening to folks on both sides of the aisle and writing the solutions, sitting at kitchen tables, sitting in break rooms, in VA halls and union halls and at local diners, listening to them identify the problems just the same as coming up with the solutions. Most candidates in this race, I think we can all identify the problems. I'm the only one who has created the solutions with the actual constituents of this district. So, thank you.
Thank you. On to the second question, and we will change up the order as we go. This one is about, the Democrat Party is a very big tent party. And as a 6th district candidate, you do need strong supporters, and many in this room may still be deciding on who to support. Since only one candidate can move forward after the primary, how do you intend to project party unity and collaboration as the general election candidate? And we'll begin this one with Nick.
Thanks, Randy. Right now, the Indiana Democratic Party has some fractures in it, to be candid. We right now have the party supporting data centers. I know the people of the 6th Congressional District do not want data centers, or at least they would like for there to be environmental studies and more done to ensure that their homes are going to be safe. The Democratic Party needs to do a better job of understanding what the 6th Congressional District consists of. If we want to win this election in November, then we need to listen to all the constituents, regardless of it just being Democrats. And we've seen now for over 20 years, state leadership not bring into office people in our state house. And it's time we see new faces and we have new ideas, because we are a great party and we need to bring that back. And I believe that I can help do that.
Thank you. Now we have Cindy. Same question.
I think this is a great question about party support and unity. I am, by design, a teacher and very inclusive, and I always have been. I wrote an entire PhD on how we can be more inclusive in education, and that applies directly to politics as well. I have proven to you all since 2022, right here in Hancock County and every other county in the 6th District, that not only do I show up for small events like Donuts for Dems with all of the other candidates, but I show up for all of the events, and even when they're not my own event, especially when they're not my own event. I always make sure that when I'm running, everyone else running also gets the floor and has a chance to use my platform for whatever they're running for in their voice. I'm also usually always the first one to share resources. In fact, Randolph County on Thursday, we had candidates told they were not allowed to put their material out, Democrats, by the Republicans, and I was the first to say, just come on, put it on my table. I think this is how we need to approach politics instead of, this division that we have, and be very inclusive of everyone. And that's my intention, and that's how I live.
Thank you. And next up is Corey, same question.
So unity doesn't come from pretending that we all agree. It comes from shared values and mutual respect. I'm running as a Democrat because I believe in protecting working people, civil rights, expanding health care, and holding systems accountable. I won't compromise on those, period. Unity means this. After the primary, we come together around what matters most, and that's delivering for the people of this district. And I'll say this as well. Unity also requires accountability. If we want people to trust our party, we have to lead by example. That means rejecting toxic behavior, rejecting smear campaigns, and making it clear that bullying online or in politics has no place in our movement. That's how we build a coalition strong enough to win in November and beat Jefferson Shreve.
Thank you. And next up is David.
Unity is very important for our party. I do agree with Corey here. I believe that there are times you have to stand on what you believe in. And for us to go through a process of just going along to get along only gets you so far. So you have to stand up for your values. We all have different viewpoints on how to solve these issues that we're looking to solve in Congress. And that's what we're trying to work out now between now and May 5th. However, when May 5th takes place and whoever wins that nomination, even if it's not me, I plan to take a call to one of these individuals and congratulate them and be their support system through November.
Thank you. And moving right along, the next question deals with civic trust and communication. Congressional confidence, as we know, is at an all-time low. How will you help improve trust in government among constituents who feel disconnected from the federal side of legislation? And we'll begin with Cindy on this one.
So as a teacher, I taught high schoolers to listen first and question everything, especially to follow the money too. And so from day one, that is still where I'll be, is listening first and questioning everything. Is this good for people? We need a no BS leadership to be able to trust Congress again. We need people to stand up. And if you saw me yesterday, I carried my spine around with me everywhere, my extra one, because I have my own. And I think that's a really important thing to remember, is that we need people who are strong enough to stand up to what is going on, especially when it is not the right thing. And we all know what the right thing to do is. As a congresswoman, I will be accessible to people just as I am now. I won't hide behind $1,000 plate dinners or big donors. I will meet regularly with everyday people just as I do now, and I have since 2022, standing beside all of you. But most importantly, I'll do what I say I'm going to do. And I don't ever back down from that. I am who I say I am. You can read, all about me and all of my qualifications. I don't pretend to be anybody that I'm not.
Thank you. And followed by Corey.
So, excuse me, trust in government is at an all-time low because people feel like no one is listening and nothing is changing. So I've been doing something a little bit different, and I've been holding reverse town halls across the district where I don't give speeches, and the people actually control the room, and I listen. It's a novel concept, right? And that doesn't stop when I get elected. That becomes the standard. Unlike Jefferson Shreve, who sends his interns to the library to talk for him, I will be at every one. I will continue those open forums across all 11 counties. And just as important, we restore trust by how we conduct ourselves. People are tired of the noise. the attacks, the manipulation. They want transparency. They want leaders who act like adults and focus on solutions. That is how we rebuild trust, by earning it every single day. And trust me, voters see who the adults are in the room.
Thank you. And now we're ready for David.
Repeat that question one more time, please.
How will you help improve trust in government among constituents who feel disconnected from the federal side of legislation?
I would plan to improve trust for constituents. Number one, if I'm elected congressman for the 6th district, I've already agreed to do town halls in every county party, one time every 3 months. When I voters to show up so I can listen to their issues and also provide solutions for them. I believe in Congress that we do have an issue of not getting anything done because of the lack of bipartisanship. So it's important for me to establish relationships right away with Republicans and independents to let them know that I am open to hearing what they want to talk about and trying to be that conduit between myself, between Republicans and Democrats, the Democrats that don't want to do much bipartisanship, to let them know, hey, we need to be able to listen to Republicans and get some bills passed. So bipartisanship is a big deal for me, and I plan to have relationships with other people to make sure that that can get done, so that we can produce some results for Hoosiers and the American people.
Thank you. And now, Nick.
Thank you. You know, Lee Hamilton in his book wrote about this over 25 years ago, how the lowest approval rating is the United States House of Representatives. It's been under 22%, and it's currently about 16% approval rating. And really the two words I would say that I'm going to bring to the table is representative government. Right now we have representatives who are only there on behalf of special interests, corporations, and they're not there on behalf of people like you. Hoosiers, particularly from the 6th Congressional District, need to be represented, not the powers that be that by the party bosses on either side. It's time somebody gets in there and actually represents the people, because you have to ultimately remember, we want to work for you. You are our bosses. We don't dictate you. You get to hire us and you get to fire us. And we need to bring that back. Quarter millennia into this experiment we call America, it's time we remember that this branch that we're running for is the Article 1, number 1 part of government. It is the first element. And we need to stop conceding power to the executive. We have a lack of a backbone or a spine currently with a lot of representatives who aren't standing up for the rights that are given by this Constitution. It's time that we bring that back, and I hope by doing that and providing a balanced budget, that's how we can win back and get the approval rating up amongst the American people.
Thank you. That moves us on to our fourth predetermined question that deals with district-specific priorities. The 6th district is very diverse, and the different counties each have their own needs. What do you believe is the most pressing long-term challenge for this district, and how would you address it? And we will begin this one with Corey.
All right, so the biggest long-term challenge in this district is that people are doing everything right and still falling behind, as I said before. Wages aren't keeping up, costs are rising, farmers are getting squeezed, small businesses are struggling to stay open. So here's how we fix it. Raise wages to reflect reality, because no one working full-time should be struggling to survive. Tax credits to small businesses to increase wages and healthcare. Penalize corporations who pay welfare wages. Stop giving them the tax credits and start giving those to the small businesses who help build this country. We need to invest in the workforce training and trade programs. Protect local economies and protect local economies such as the agriculture and manufacturing. This district doesn't need more talk. It needs solutions. And someone out there listening long enough to know what the solutions need to look like.
Thank you, Corey. And next, David.
The main issue with our district right now is people don't have money like they used to before. Most people are trying to live check to check, to try to pay their bills, and there's not a lot of money left over like there was in the past. So, like I said before, I do want to push for a minimum wage of $25. I think there's only so much that the government can do as far as relief. I know that we want these major corporations to start paying their fair share of taxes, but that's going to be difficult. I know we have to get bipartisan support on that for Republicans to do that, but that is something that I do want to fight for, so that we're not paying so much in taxes and Americans can keep their money at home. But $25 minimum wage is very important for me, for everyone living in our district.
Thank you. Tim will be followed by Nick.
The number one issue I've seen is that we need to get money back from Wall Street back to Main Street. All the money keeps simply flowing out of this district, going to the top 1%. My whole lifetime, 46 years, the redistribution of wealth has been from working class Hoosiers and working class people across this country to the elite, taking them to a point now where the top 1% control over 50% of the wealth. When I was born in 1979, it was 10%. And it's ridiculous. After traveling this district and getting to know the wonderful people that are in these communities would absolutely thrive if they could just have a little bit more of their own hard-earned money back in their communities to support their schools, their roads, and all of the programs within them. If we can get there and get that money back to the people who deserve it and paid their taxes, we can support the huge issues, which are healthcare and housing. We can get homes built. We have too much of a shortfall, and we need to get that done. So we need to get to Washington. We need to take on the special interest groups. We need to make sure that we're not writing big billionaire bills that only give tax breaks to the richest among us. And then we actually keep the resources for the people that need them. And then we get the money back to these communities so they can thrive. Because there's so many wonderful communities that have gone and have, maybe they've been depressed over the last century. We can bring all that back. And then we can invite more people to this district because there's so many wonderful options here and opportunity.
And finally, Cindy.
So after doing this since 2022 and standing with you all, talking to everybody across every single county, healthcare is the top priority. And moving to universal single-payer healthcare will give essentially everyone about a $24,000 raise. Plus it unbundles our jobs from our healthcare. And in doing that, then our small businesses can thrive. We can work toward livable wages, and we don't have to worry about our neighbors and our friends and our family going bankrupt from exorbitant medical bills, or having our family and friends or ourselves go without healthcare insurance. And along with that, then we shore up, Medicare and Medicaid systems, and we can raise that cap on Social Security so that we can safeguard the future so everybody can retire with dignity. In addition to that, within that healthcare plan, we can negotiate prescription prices. So no more coupons at the pharmacy. No more hassles and having to get out of your car if you're just picking it up in the drive-thru. Go in and go back through all of that mess that you have to go through if you have to use a coupon to save money. Plus, it will put local providers back in our communities for health care. And that, in the rural areas especially, is significant. So no more driving an hour or more for just general care. We'll have our own doctors back.
Thank you. Moving on, we're doing real good with time, but we do have a tremendous amount of questions from the audience. So we'll go through this. I will give everybody an opportunity to answer the same question. That's the only way we can possibly do it, and we'll use the same order as the first dice roll tonight. So the question, what congressional committee would you not want to serve and why? What congressional committee would you not want to serve and why? That could be interesting, and we're going to begin with David.
That's a good question. I know that one I do want to be on is the Appropriations Committee. I would say right now, the Judicial Committee. Right now, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I believe that if we do take back the House here in 2026, there's going to be a lot of investigations that need to take place with a lot of the people that are working in the Trump administration actively, and also people that have left the administration. My biggest concern is I don't want them to slip away and slip into another administration. So I plan to, like I said, establish relationships as soon as I get there with people in Congress. But judicial is one that I know is going to take a lot of work and focus. So not that one.
Thank you. And you have up to 90 seconds to answer these questions. Cindy, you're next.
So I have the, I guess, ability to say that since I was on Capitol Hill as a fellow, I got to see every single committee in action and sit in on every single hearing, or every single committee's hearings. There is no committee that I wouldn't take an assignment on. And I say that, confidently because I have listened to hearings of all those committees, and I believe that, when I get to Congress, I will be placed into or offered the appropriate committees given my experience and my background. And it's a really good way how that works. So if somebody feels like I would be able to add to a committee, then I think that's one of those things where I think I can trust in that, and I would happily do a good job. Where would I be the most effective? Science-based technology, education, transportation. Those are three that I'm really familiar with, and I have done work with those committees as a legislative fellow.
Thank you. And Nick, you're up next.
Usually freshman representatives don't get an opportunity to serve on a committee. So I agree with Cindy that if I was given any opportunity to serve on any committee within the House of Representatives, I would jump at the opportunity. Of course, I would like David to serve on the Appropriations Committee, and I would like to serve probably first and foremost on the Judiciary Committee, having my legal background, and to kind of see the erosion of American jurisprudence over the last decade or more. It's time that we have more codes of conduct throughout our judiciary, particularly at the very highest court. We all have the rules of professional conduct. Whenever there's judicial canons that affect literally every judge in the country except for the 9 that sit on the United States Supreme Court. And it's time that we get some integrity and some reasonableness, and when we're reviewing these candidates who sit on these positions for so long. So I would jump at any committee opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you. And Corey?
I would agree with Cindy, and there's not really any committee that I wouldn't want to be on. And kind of like Nick said, freshmen typically aren't on a committee. But if I had the honor to serve on one, I would happily take it. I think the committees that stand out the most to me are the House Committee on Veteran Affairs, because taking care of our veterans isn't optional, it's our responsibility. I think one that falls in line with my work and what I've done in the past, not just in higher education, but in the online sphere of social media manipulation and propaganda, I would look at the House of Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, because influence campaigns, online manipulation, and digital threats are real and growing. My background in analyzing coordinated online behavior gives me a unique ability to contribute here. And then I'd also look at education and labor.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question, and Cindy, you will be up first. Just get ready for it. How do you think the federal government needs to change to address public education standards?
So the first thing that we really need to do is shore up the Department of Education from the cuts that have been made that are currently affecting it. And what that does is that will affect our title funds, and our title funds are what come down to our local schools that provide monies for education for low-income schools, for teacher training, all of those things, equitable programming. And those title funds are so critical because not only do they help with education, but they help protect our students. So we have students who have federal rights to education. And through the Individual Disabilities Act, those monies and that support needs to be shored back up and put back in place so that all of our students can thrive.
Thank you, and next is Nick.
We need to either save the Department of Education, or by the time we get there, we need to resurrect it. They're trying to get rid of it completely right now, and it's an absolute shame, frankly, across the country. I also would like to do what I can to get more money back into these rural districts. The voucher systems have devastated many of the rural communities throughout the 6th Congressional District. Many of these communities don't have private schools where that voucher money is then taken to. And so it's all public dollars that are taken away from public education. And to the extent we can shore that up and we can standardize tests across the nation so that schools aren't dealing with so many different vendors, even public schools, and another bureaucracy is created where waste is generated, I believe that we should do that at the Department of Education. And I think that we can do that.
Thank you. And Corey, you're next.
So, kind of like Nick said, unfortunately, I think by the time we get there, I think we're going to have to resurrect the Department of Education. I've been very open and boisterous about what my plans or my thoughts are on the Department of Education. I think first and foremost, we need to have people in there who are educators running the Department of Education. That is one of the most important things we need. I am smart enough to know that I am not the smartest man in this room. I am not a teacher like Dr. Worth was. I know that there are plenty of teachers out there who have better ideas, and I can share with you some of those that were given me directly from teachers. To oppose the federal voucher and tax credit expansion and ensure federal education dollars prioritize public schools. We need to increase the Title I funding and fully fund IDEA so schools can meet federal requirements for all students. We need to expand paid student teaching, teacher residency programs, loan forgiveness, and retention incentives, and expand school meals, after-school programs, mental health services, and community school funding. And lastly, this one's all me. If we can pay ICE agents $50,000 sign-on bonuses, $90,000 a year salaries, and $50,000 a year into bonuses, we damn sure can pay our teachers double what they're making right now.
Thank you. And David.
Funding for the Department of Education is a priority for me. I do plan to push to restore their funding. I do believe that the Department of Education is a central location for all schools to be able to report to and get the information from. I don't like how the Trump administration has demonized that organization. And right now, from what I've heard from some teachers, they're not sure exactly what to present to their students because they don't know what's approved with the Department of Education and what is not. So I do plan to restore the funding. I was able to talk to a teacher yesterday at the No Kings rally. She did let me know that one of the main issues that need to be addressed is the class size. A lot of teachers are dealing with more students in their class than they can handle, and that's something that needs to be addressed, and I do believe that we do need to pay our teachers more. I would like to see a $65,000 starting amount for our teachers to educate our students. But yes, I do support the Department of Education. I do want to refund it so that they can continue the work that they're doing, that they were doing in the last administration with President Biden.
Thank you. The next question will begin with Nick. And this is a two-part question. What is your plan to make Social Security sustainable? And how would we ensure fraud doesn't run rampant in federal government entitlements? Tough two-parter.
I think right now what you're witnessing through the current administration is a spending amount that is trying to wreck Social Security. They're trying to get it to a point where they have an excuse to say, well, we need to transfer it over to a privatized system with the Trump $1,000 and whatnot. We need to make sure that we stop the bleed on that. But the only way you're really going to save Social Security is if you somehow start to balance the budget. It is one of the largest line items in the federal government. And if we continue to spend as we are, we're going to wreck the system, and they're going to come raid that money. And particularly as so many retirees are coming up. And then the second part of your question was, how do I prevent fraud throughout the government? Through the entitlements. We need to recognize and police it just as we've policed all kinds of fraud. You can't have open windows and what we saw happen in Minnesota where monies are allocated and nobody's watching what's going on. Where's the follow-up? Who's actually following up to make sure these federal dollars, state dollars are being appropriately resourced and are dedicated to exactly what was promised? So ultimately, it's oversight.
Thank you. Corey, you're up.
So Social Security is not a government handout. It is a promise Americans paid into for decades. As your representative, I will fight to protect full Social Security benefits for current and future retirees, increase the Social Security taxable wage base to $250,000. I think that will help protect it. Protect the COLA, the annual cost of living adjustments, so benefits keep up with inflation, and oppose benefit cuts or raising the retirement age. I think, what was the second part of that question?
The second part of the question is, how do you stop fraud from running rampant in the entitlements?
Get people out of office who are committing fraud. I mean, God knows the government is running rampant with it. I mean, you just can throw a dart and you're going to hit one of them. That's the first place to go. I'm sorry. I mean, that's kind of the obvious answer, right? To be more specific, though, I think the oversight, like Nick said, inspector generals. What happened to all the inspector generals? I mean, look, working in higher ed, I can tell you, there's no inspector general now on higher ed. There's so much fraud going on. There are universities missing money that we don't know who to call because there's no inspector general. We need to have the oversight of the people who's handling all of this money. I guess that's my easy answer there.
Thank you. And next up, David.
Social Security is a benefit that we've all paid into. I know I've been paying since I was 16 and started working. It's very near and dear to me. I know people that have paid a long time and they're getting small checks, even though they've worked for almost all their life. That's not okay. I know that our national debt right now is $38 trillion. Over the last 6 months, I believe they said we added $1 trillion. So exactly what Nick said, we have to balance the budget, and that means making strong and dire decisions about what we're going to pay for and what we're not going to pay for. So I do believe at some point we are going to be in the situation where we're going to have to make some cuts in different areas, but I do plan to go line by line through our federal budget to find out where can we have money that we can put inside Social Security so that fund is there before it runs out in 2032, because I know looking out here, a lot of Americans are struggling financially, and some people depend on that as their main source of income. And with that being gone, we can all imagine what type of life we'll be living if we don't have that in place. So we need to make sure we can fund Social Security.
Thank you. Cindy?
So it's pretty widely known that if we raise the Social Security contribution cap to $400,000 of income, that will shore up Social Security for the future, like 25, 30 years plus beyond. And again, that is well known. Those are my numbers that I'm throwing out. That is out there. I think that's really important to remember because where it is right now, we can't fund Social Security beyond 2035. And it's one of those critical steps we need to take to ensure that people can retire with dignity and be able to live out, the rest of their lives as they'd like and where they'd like. As for fraud, we have gutted our entire professional corps of nonpartisan professionals in our federal government. And that loss that we have sustained is going to be difficult, but not impossible to put back. And if we can put back that core of nonpartisan professionals, that is where we can, make sure that we don't have people defrauding our government just in pursuit of financial gain for themselves.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, go on to the next question. This one's a little bit of a two-parter as well. We got two cards very similar, but how do you plan to advocate for health care for people with pre-existing conditions? And the second part of it would be, how would you advocate for preventable health care versus merely responsive health care? So it's all dealing with health care is what we're getting at. Is that clear to everybody? Okay. And we'll begin this next question with Corey.
So, I think passing universal health care will kind of solve both of those problems. Pre-existing conditions, they should not be holding anybody up, period. It should not be something that denies somebody their insurance. And I think preventative care, look, I've been very public with what recently happened with me with my health care. And losing my job at a university in December, 2 weeks later after the day after my insurance cut out, I found out I was type 2 diabetic. So I had the opportunity to feel what millions of people feel every single day and beg Congress and senators to feel, to look at, and it's to live a day in the life of their shoes. How am I going to afford rent? How am I going to afford health care? Let's face it, I had just got diagnosed with diabetes and then started a new job and new insurance. That could have kept me from getting insurance. I don't think we should have that as an issue with universal health care. Preventative care, I'm fortunate, my insurance does great with that, and I think everybody's insurance should do that with universal health care. Paying for everything that I need for my diabetes care, whether it's diabetes, whether it's cancer, no matter what it is, if it is preventative, it should save you money and save health care in the long run.
Thank you. And next up, David.
Well, we know right now it's still illegal for you to discriminate on somebody for having a pre-existing condition. So I'm happy that Obamacare was able to pass to help other people. Preventative care is very important. I will say that my insurance does the same thing. They pay for a lot of things ahead of time so that if there is an issue in the back end, we can catch that beforehand. So I think that's something that we need to really push for. I believe we need to put more money inside the healthcare system, and we need to restore those credits that were there for the Affordable Care Act so that people can afford their insurance and get more people back on the insurance rolls. But yes, I think the answer with pre-existing conditions have already been answered.
Thank you. Cindy?
So again, I'll say that universal single payer health care, like a Medicare for all type plan, is the way that we need to go to address pre-existing conditions and then preventable health care versus reactive health care. The Affordable Care Act did make it illegal to discriminate against pre-existing conditions. That is under fire right now, and it is something that we all do need to pay attention to, which is why I am pushing so hard for this single payer universal health care. The numbers are out there, the cost savings between preventable health care and reactive health care. Reactive meaning, when something happens, then you address it. When we can get ahead of these issues and we can have people that are eating healthy and having food available that's healthy and having the money in their wallet to be able to buy food that's healthy, that's some of the important parts that we need to not forget that is critical when we're talking about healthcare.
Thank you. And Nick, you're next.
I would love the dream of universal health care to come true, but I don't think right now it's a workable solution. And I like to be a realist about this. And that's ultimately what we have to face. Now, the ACA may require you to cover pre-existing conditions, but insurance companies still sell policies that do not cover pre-existing conditions. And they'll sell them as low as only covering catastrophic injuries or terminal illnesses. And families are making the choice that that is the only coverage they can get. We need to shore it back up so that they actually have coverage and that covers pre-existing conditions. And that's a baseline. But that you can still have a private healthcare market so that we still have capitalism and competition that hopefully creates even better solutions in the future. I believe that preventative health care is the last thing we should address. While everybody says that it's the first thing that's going to save us, is it really? Is it the most important thing that we should deal with? Or should we actually treat the people that are sick so that we can get them back to work and they can make money for their families? Ultimately, I would love universal health care, I love universal education, and I love universal child care. But we need to work with the reality that we're in. And right now, we need to just shore up as much as we possibly can to streamline healthcare so that it's affordable for the American people and we can balance the budget.
Thank you. Next question. And this one is coming to David first. How will you help address climate change?
There's a lot going on with our climate. First of all, obviously, I'm going to talk about data centers first. Data centers are harming the environment. I know that there was a study that was recently done that said there's a hum that goes on, and we just saw that it was defeated over there in Decatur Township, and unfortunately there is one that's going to be going up in Daymar facility nearby, which houses people with disabilities may be affected by that humming noise, I heard, and so that's not a good thing. I believe that we need to invest in green energy. We see with the Trump administration, my understanding is that they want us to turn on 2 coal plants here in Indiana. That costs us a lot of money and is not really beneficial to the environment. So there's a lot that we need to roll back to the Biden administration that's been turned on by the Trump administration so that we can get our communities in a better place and we have cleaner air. And also, I'm concerned about the water. I'm concerned about the ocean and the digging that people are doing out there and raking the bottom of the floors. That's very concerning to me because that's where our water comes from. We have a lot of ecosystems, a lot of life out there as far as fish, and that's going to affect the generations to come. Maybe that we won't ever see in our lifetime, but our kids and grandkids may start to see that. So anything that has to do with the environment to improve it, I'm all for it, and I will support that.
Thank you. And Cindy?
So, with climate change, first of all, we need to make sure that everyone who is elected acknowledges that climate change is real, significant, and causing issues. And I won't waver on that. We also need to invest in green renewable energy. A lot of that has been and re-enroll in the International Climate Accords. A lot of that has been rolled back since 2025, the beginning. The entire world, was on a path to push hydrogen as a fuel, as a renewable fuel. And it wasn't just, the United States was the one lagging behind because they were waiting for the election to happen. So there are many options that we have for green renewable energy. We need to invest in those. Cummins Engine Corporation is right here in the 6th District, and they were producing hydrolyzers. They had a whole plan, a whole pipeline for hydrogen in Europe. This is a workable solution that no one is still looking at. It's something that I've been looking at. I'm also a marine scientist. I've been tracking the little sea butterflies, and you can look them up if you don't know what they are. But with the oceans acidifying because of the fossil fuels we're using, the little calcium shells of these sea butterflies that are very thin start to dissolve because acid dissolves calcium. And when I used to go out 30 years ago and look for these, we would find lots of them. We don't see them anymore. I see maybe 1 or 2 where I used to see 30.
Thank you. And next is Nick.
To me, the most important thing that we need to do in Congress is to make sure that we don't get rid of probably the 2 best pieces of legislation in the modern history of Congress, and that's the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act. They are absolutely under attack right now. We're trying to dissolve the Environmental Protection Agency, and we have Democrats and Republicans completely selling out to the tech bros and billionaires and skirting the rules around the Clean Water Act and Clean Air Act. Where my 47 acres is located down in Decatur Township in Canby, it's less than 1/10 of a mile where they're trying to put in a 250 megawatt data center that's going to exhaust onto the neighborhoods next door. It's pretty disgusting to see the people that are in charge right now and that are being elected completely avoid any of these people's concerns. There's really no one in Decatur Township who wants this, yet they're pushing it down our throats. And the one way you can fix the environment, it isn't necessarily by spending $30 trillion on some Green New Deal. All you do is you grow biological material. If you grow biological material where it doesn't grow right now, it will suck carbon out of the atmosphere. And there's regenerative farming. We could reward 90% of all the farmers, which are small farmers, with incentives that will encourage them to grow in a multicultural facet and encourage biological development, even in our deserted areas.
Thank you. And Corey?
I could repeat everything that all three of these candidates just said, and I agree with all of them. I think the first thing that I would say is, like Dr. Worth said, acknowledge climate change is real. That it's not a conspiracy, and really focus in on the renewable energies, and look at solar, look at wind, look at the hydrogen. That's really one of the areas that is not my area of expertise. I will be the first to admit that, so that would be something that I would have people advising me on it. I will always admit when something is not, it's not something that I have a lot of information on. So to do that, you put people in front of you who does, and that's what I would do.
Thank you. Next question, and we'll begin this one. Cynthia. How should the U.S. reduce gun violence?
So we need to put back our common sense gun laws. I have been a teacher who has taken students into a lockdown drill, an active shooter drill that was real, that wasn't a drill. And when you have had a classroom full of 9th and 10th graders, and you have had to sequester them in a place where we had a lot of plate glass and a lot of open windows, it is terrifying. Our students right now are experiencing this from kindergarten through 12th grade and now into colleges. They know what to do for active shooter drills, they know what to do for lockdowns, and it is no way that we should have our teachers and our students living every single day of their lives. We know how to solve this. We have solved it before. We had common sense gun laws. We got rid of them because of the gun lobby. So the problem is money. The problem is politicians being bought off by money and not enacting common sense gun laws. 80% of gun owners in the nation believe we need common sense gun laws, gun safety courses, and a restriction on automatic weapons. So the science is there. We also need to put back the money to do more studies on it, because the CDC had some for a while. They have stopped those. We need to restart those and show that this is really harming our students and our teachers.
Thank you. And Nick?
You know, the NRA its three principles used to be safety first, accuracy second, precision third. And now it seems like the NRA, its only goal is profits first, proliferation, and production. And that's what we can attack that by simply repealing PLACA. PLACA immunizes gun manufacturers from being sued for pushing their weapons onto our communities. And we could also pass laws that hold actual gun owners responsible for their negligent entrustment of those weapons to other people. I do not want to do away with the Second Amendment, and I want people to have that right protected. But there is a way you can do that. Let us trial lawyers come after the bad actors and stop immunizing the gun industry from pushing a bunch of weapons through our communities. It's time that these cities get an opportunity to sue them and hold them responsible. And then we can show them through what is ultimately a capitalist system of trial lawyers, and let us enforce just simple negligence laws. We can also encourage, hey, every time you buy a weapon, maybe you buy it, we require you buy a safety lock for your trigger, or you have to buy a safe. And we can encourage more things that are going to benefit the gun industry, but are hopefully going to protect the wrong people from getting their hands on a weapon.
Thank you. And next is Corey.
I agree with Nick on this one, and Dr. Worth. I think common sense gun laws, we got to bring those back. We got to get money out of politics. The NRA spends God knows how much money lining the pockets of politicians so that they don't pass common sense gun laws. I've been, like Dr. Worth, I'm fortunate working in higher education. I get to go out to the high schools, and I was actually not in a real situation, but I was part of an active shooter drill. And, you know, as somebody who like Nick, I was born in '79. We went in the hallway with books over our heads when there was tornado drills. We didn't have active shooter drills. It was foreign to me. And to think that little kids like Nick and David's kids have this kind of experience, it has to be mentally damaging to them. And so I think that passing the common sense gun laws and getting the money out of politics will be the most important two things that we have to do for gun laws.
And David.
I agree, passing those common sense gun reforms are important, and also that those universal background checks for people that are picking up guns. I think that we need to stop glorifying violence in America. I think that Hollywood is responsible for a lot of that. I think social media replicates a lot of that, and I think these video games that a lot of kids are playing have a healthy dose of violence. So I think it's important that parents talk to their children about some of the games that they're playing. I think parents should have a little bit more control over the games that they purchase for their children, because we notice that a lot of these active shooters are younger. And I think that we need to encourage a more of a civil discourse in America and working together instead of disagreeing and thinking that pulling a trigger is going to be the answer to the problem, because all that does is put more people in prison and it breaks up families' lives. So common sense gun reform, there's plenty of information about that out there on the Democratic platform. That is something that I support.
Thank you. All right, next question come from the audience is, how would you work to stop the SAVE Act? Now, we don't know if it's going to still be there next year, but it's very possible that they'll try it again. So we'll begin this one with Nick.
The SAVE Act, correct?
SAVE Act. How would you stop the SAVE Act?
This is probably the greatest threat to our democracy that there is right now. And I know that everybody's talking about the ID side of it and how it's going to affect women and minorities in particular, but I want to talk about what is even a bigger issue from the SAVE Act, and that's the 30-day purge rule. There right now is no guidance on that. And this administration specifically, they're not really scared of the ID side of things, because they're going to come in and from the federal level, even though this Constitution says the states are supposed to be managing elections, they're going to come in and they're going to purge those roles. And nothing right now designs how that's going to be done. If they come in and they decide we're going to purge all the Democrats, and then it's hard for Democrats to re-register, particularly women. Think about how this is going to affect our democracy. It is ultimately, I will use every resource I possibly can. I'm going to do it right now, and I'm going to continue to do it to stop this. Now, the silver lining is that ultimately the SAVE Act will likely hurt red states more than it will hurt blue states. But if you couple that with the purge rule, it may not, and it may ultimately just simply benefit. This is like Nazi legislation, and we have to stop it. We have to continue to advocate. Democrats have not done a great job of voicing how bad these issues are, and we need to do a better job of that so people understand that our democracy is under threat right now.
Thank you. And next would be Corey.
I think that to take a page out of David's book, because I know what David's going to say, it's passing the John Lewis voters' right guide. It's as simple as that. I think that's what we got to do, and fight like hell to make sure that we protect all people, women, men. That's where I would stand on that.
Thank you. And David.
On this topic, I like to say elections have consequences, and the problem that we have now is we have the SAVE Act that is on, there's a chance it may get passed, and the reason it may get passed is because there are enough Republicans that people have elected that may not have morals or certain values that are willing to do away with that. And the consequences will be devastating. We already talked about women, we talked about minorities like Nick said, but also men as well. With this particular legislation, it's going to affect not just when you register to vote, but also producing those documents when you vote. And if this passes between now and May 5th, there are people in this room that may not be able to cast a ballot for each one of us up here if you don't have those documents. So the good thing is it hasn't passed. I do want to put a commercial, make sure you elect the right person. So when you have these party line votes, they will go in the right way in your benefit. And us passing the John Lewis Voting Rights Act is the most important thing we can do. It's a comprehensive legislation that covers a lot of this and makes sure that when we cast our ballot, it's actually counted.
Thank you.
So with the SAVE Act, right now, what we can all do so that maybe it won't pass is call our senator. Todd Young is vulnerable. Make sure that you make those phone calls, send those emails to him. That's one of the most important things you can do. But the other thing is, all of us in this room have friends who are Republicans who say, it's just an ID, it's not that bad, you're making something out of nothing, which isn't true. And so make sure that you talk to the people who are saying that and encourage them to read past the headline and past the first paragraph so they can see all of the things that this act will do. And I think those are the conversations I have been having with people, and they're working. People are saying, oh, I didn't know that. Wow, I could be thrown off the voter rolls. Wow, I didn't realize, past that first headline. It's not just an ID. So I think those are really important. But also, this past week, my mother, who was married in 1966 and divorced in 1990, went and got her passport card. I filled out all the paperwork for her. I told her where to go, what office to go, where the phone numbers were, gave her the $85. She went and spent her 4 hours to get it done. She got it done, but that is in essence a poll tax. Poll taxes are illegal. So it is really important that we get the information out there of how to get this done. So if you need a passport card or a passport, you can get it done.
Thank you. And just for the audience, we did have a session that was supposed to be called Lightning Round, and we've got so many questions from the audience. We're going to continue with them for just another few minutes before going to closing. The next question, which will begin with Corey, I'm putting it kind of broadly for education. What would you do to protect public education?
I think we've kind of talked about protecting public education. I would put people who are educators in charge of the Department of Education. People who know what they're doing, not some WWE. Oh, no, I mean, I'm trying to be politically correct and nice. I mean, can we not have idiots running departments? I mean, it's funny, but it's true. And Department of Education, whether it's covering, we're talking about K through 12 or higher education, we need to have professionals that are in there that know how to run the damn place. That's how you protect education, is put people in charge who actually have living experience doing it. Give me a high school principal, give me a high school teacher that's going to be in charge of deciding what rules are for K through 12. Don't put me in there. Look, I'm great for higher education, but I don't have the experience that Dr. Worth has on K through 12. So I wouldn't be the person that you want to ask, put in charge of laws or in the Department of Education, making those decisions. You hire somebody and you put somebody in those roles within the Department of Ed who has the experience to do it.
Thank you. And David?
Like we said before, I do think we need to fund the Department of Education. I am a staunch supporter of public schools. I'm a product of public, private, and homeschool, so I've seen the whole gamut across the board. But we know the majority of the kids that are being educated in America are being educated in public schools, so we need to make sure that they have the funding. And I think there is a place for the voucher system, but we can't lose sight of those kids that are being educated through the public school system.
Thank you. Cindy?
So protecting public education looks like making it illegal again to use public tax monies for vouchers that go to private schools and violating that separation of church and state. That's the biggest part of that, and that was a federal decision, and that needs to be overturned. The Department of Education was gutted. We had nonpartisan professionals that staffed the entire Department of Education. Again, we need to put those nonpartisan professionals back into the roles that they are qualified to perform. And when we have those people in those places, our government does function, and it does function efficiently and effectively. It's when we have things like the chainsaw coming out to save money for all of us that it actually ends up costing us all more money. It costs our students, it costs our teachers, and in effect, it will cost all of our communities.
Thank you.
Outside of Montessori for kindergarten, I've only been a product of public education my entire life. And I too want to, like we stated before, do fund and appropriate funds to the Department of Education to support public schools. This district is replete with public schools throughout them. And again, there's many communities that do not have any private options. We need some good lawyering to sue some of these religious institution schools that are taking voucher dollars and are discriminating on pricing based on a religious test of whether you're a part of that church or you're not a part of that church, ultimately resulting in your tax dollars being worth less because you didn't take that religious test. And I think we need to reduce where the voucher level is. It shouldn't go so high to the higher income individuals so we can preserve more funds for the public schools.
Thank you. And I'm going to use my own preference here. I think there's one more question that needs to be asked that I found in the cards, and the farmers are the ones struggling. We have to talk about what we can do to help farmers, and we have a very rural district, as much of the area is. So let's see who's up first. I think we'll go ahead and start with David on this one. And can you address the issues about the farmers and what's costing them fuel, fertilizer, and so forth?
Well, the number one issue costing farmers issues with fertilizer is the war with Iran that we just started. I know that 1/3 of fertilizers that we need in America come through the Strait of Hormuz. Right now, that being blocked off, that is causing the fertilizer costs to increase right now, especially when farmers are getting ready to make their last purchases of fertilizer. So if the war ends, that helps us, but I also heard that it's going to take 200 days for us to see real relief for farmers in that sense. So starting that war has put our farmers behind. My understanding as well is that there is a farm bill that's moving behind the scenes with Republicans. I know that they plan to issue out about $68 billion, which is about $40 billion more than farmers were asking for 2 years ago, which I think that is encouraging. Right now, we just need to get that to the House floor. They need to start debating that so that we can get that passed to get relief to our farmers. Inside those farmers' bills are a lot of help as far as suicide prevention help and also rural broadband. I think that's very important for the 6th district. And so right now, it's really a money issue for the farmers. And I think if we get that bill passed, we can help them out.
Thank you. And Cindy?
So yes, we need to somehow extricate ourselves from this war in Iran so that we can open back up trade, get what we need where we need it to go. Again, also the price of oil. I think diesel fuel for tractors right now is also exorbitant and cost prohibitive for farmers out in their fields. We do need to pass the farm bill. We do need to make sure that it has all of the things in it that will help, especially our small family farms. And our small family farms are kind of the lifeblood of our rural areas around here. And that's really important because a lot of times that farm bill in it will have things that are Republican-led that speak more to big farms, commercial farms. And some family farms are commercial, but we really need to safeguard our smaller family farms so we don't keep losing our valuable farmland to things like data centers. Really important. The other piece of that is if we look at our universal health care, which I know, Nick, you say it's not possible, but it is, that will help farmers also because they will have their second generation that can come in and afford to farm. And that's a critical thing that people don't realize or forget about. And having the ability to have your second or third generation come in and have health care is one of the things prohibiting our family farms from being passed on.
Thank you. And
I'd say it's three-part. First, we need to stop trade wars that are ultimately raising all the input costs for farmers. We need to enforce our trust laws. We right now have like 4 or 5 seed companies in this country. We have monopolies across the board in farming, and we didn't used to have that. And then we need to also loosen food safety regulations. Some of the things that farmers are required, they can't rotate certain animals through their crops that they could use as fertilizer as a very natural way to support their crops. And it's not unhealthy, but for some reason we have the regulations that require us to use these harmful chemicals And we have an administration right now that orders the production of, through the Defense Production Act, so much glyphosate all throughout the Farm Belt, where we have the highest levels of cancer in Iowa, all the way down through Louisiana, everywhere that this water sheds to the Mississippi. We need to understand and enforce our environmental laws, and then we need to not give immunity to companies that are poisoning us with chemicals we know cause cancer. Ultimately, if we could break these up and get more competition and capitalism into our farming industry, we can reduce those input costs and soften the weight that the people throughout this district are suffering.
Thank you. And Corey?
I think getting out of the war right now is first and foremost what will help. The price of fuel, as I think it was Dr. Worth or Nick said, is killing farmers. Passing the Farm Bill, obviously, I think we all can agree, passing the Farm Bill will help the farmers. Family farms are the ones that are getting destroyed the most. I mean, corporations, they can survive a bad year. A family farm, one bad year can bankrupt them. So I think that you've got the straight, and y'all are gonna laugh, I can't say the straight, thank you. Yeah. So I can't say it, I've practiced it a million times. The straight of, yeah. It's a third of our energy and fertilizer comes straight through there. Why are we depending on that? Why are we not having that here in this country? So I think we need to focus in more on having it local. And not just for farming and agriculture, but look at the supply chain, period. Why are we getting so many things from outside of this country? We need to have more things back in this country. And I think by passing laws that give companies the tax credits and the benefits of producing in our country will help as well.
Thank you. That will conclude the part from the audience. Unfortunately, we still had just a minute to try to get through. We want to move forward to the closing statements, and they will be 1 minute long, and we'll begin with Corey.
I just want to thank all of you for coming, honestly. Whether you vote for me, David, Nick, or Cindy, it's encouraging to see all of the people in this room. Check out everything that we stand for. We definitely didn't all get to talk about our different beliefs. So check us all out. I'm not going to sit here and pump myself. I think it's important for democracy that you understand what each of us stand for. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you. You can clap for him. Next closing statement will be from Nick.
Thank you all again for being here and for taking the time to listen to all of our answers. The one big question I have for Democrats throughout this district is, do we want to win a primary or do we want to beat Jefferson Shreve in the general election? Who is going to be the candidate that we can put forward will give us the best opportunity to beat Jeff Shreve? And ultimately, we have to look back at the history. We've only got 13,000 Democrats to show up at primaries in the last 2 elections. We need to get people to actually vote, show up, spread the word. And we got to look at the actual numbers. We've never got more than 32 points in a general election in the 6th Congressional District. And for some of these counties, they haven't seen a Democratic representative since 1939 in Finley Gray. It is time we put our best foot forward to win this election. And I do believe my candidacy, this is my first time running for political office, but as a middle, moderate Democrat, a Lee Hamilton Democrat, I give us the best chance.
And Cindy for her closing statement.
Thank you all for being here. I have to ask you, are you ready for single-payer health care that will help put money back in your pocket and make sure you're covered? Are you ready for affordable housing, a fully funded public education system that serves all students, clean, healthy air, water, and land for all of us and everybody who comes behind us, and a congresswoman who upholds our Constitution and holds everybody accountable? Because if you're like me and you're tired of all the BS, and I've been working since 2022 to flip this district, and we got 2 counties at almost 40% in 2022. This time is the same kind of an election year. We expect those numbers to go much higher, and I have the name recognition now. If you can envision relaxing at the end of the day and breathing clean air, then join us, because you are worth the fight, and I'm the candidate that you can trust to show up and get the work done, because that's what I've done with all of you, shoulder to shoulder, since 2022. I would appreciate your vote in the primary, and let's continue the journey we started in 2022.
Thank you. And finally, David.
I'm gonna just be completely honest here. You guys have a tough decision to make. Even though I'm running for office, they all have formidable campaigns, and you're going to be the ultimate people that make the decision as far as who goes forward to represent the Democrats and to defeat Jefferson Shreve. Not only defeat Jefferson Shreve, but to be able to stand up to Donald Trump, because that's what's waiting past Jefferson Shreve. I believe that my platform is strong. I'm not going to bash anyone else here. I am like Nick. He said it's his first time running for office. It's my first time as well. But I'm going to leave that for you guys to vote. All of our information is out there online, our website. You can learn more about us. But thank you for the opportunity for giving us to speak with you all today.
I want to say thank you to all the candidates. Again, give them a round of applause. And the audience and the questions were fantastic. Each of you, thank you. Just a reminder, in case you don't know, voting begins April 7th, and you start by voting in the Hancock County at the courthouse. We have election primary day, May 5th. And before we adjourn, I just want to say I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I think the mic's about to give out anyhow. So very much appreciate everybody coming today. Thank you so much.
Watch my French. No, it's French.